going to be analyzing circle graphs. So it says some students at GMS were surveyed about their favorite type of juice. The circle graph shows the results. So here is our circle graph. And right here shows me the key that there was the choice of apple juice, grape juice, cranberry juice, some other type of juice, or orange juice. So inside the circle graph, we see that we have the percents of each person that chose what. So this entire circle represents all the students in the survey, and these percents are what they chose. So 25% chose apple juice, 20% chose grape juice, 5% chose cranberry, 10% chose other, and this orange juice is missing the percent. So we can go ahead and start analyzing this by finding that missing percent. So that's going to be our first question. So our first question is going to be, what percent chose orange juice? So I'm going to go ahead and solve that. Now, if you can remember back to percents, the whole for percent is 100%. So to find this missing piece, all these together are 100% because that's our whole. So what I can do is add them up and then subtract from 100. So I'm going to add the percents. So 25% plus 20% plus 5% plus 10%. So I'm going to add those together. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 60% did not choose orange juice. So to get the students that did choose orange juice, you're going to take all the students, which would be 100% of them, and subtract the ones that did not choose orange juice, and you would be left with 40%. So 40% of the students chose orange juice. Okay, let's move on to our question number 2. It says, if 160 students chose orange juice, how many GMS students were surveyed? Okay, so let's go ahead and think about that. So basically, when I see a question like this, my brain goes ding, ding, ding. This is a proportion question. So I know I'm going to have to set up a proportion. And when I set up that proportion, it's always part to whole. Parts in the numerator, wholes in the denominator. So the first thing I need to know is, am I looking for the part or am I looking for the whole? So I'm going to read this question again. If 160 students chose orange juice, how many GMS students were surveyed? How many GMS students were surveyed? They're not talking about a specific part of the survey, so we're looking for the whole. So we're looking for the total amount of students. Okay? So our part is 160 students. Now, we're talking specifically about orange juice. And from our last question, we found out that 40% chose orange juice. And the whole for percent is 100%. So now that I have a proportion, I can go ahead and solve it. Now, when you're solving a proportion, there's a couple different ways. You can cross multiply, then divide, or you can simplify and use the scale factor, or you can see if you can multiply this number or divide this number to get to your new number. And I can see that 40 times 4 makes 160. So I'm going to take that bottom number and multiply it by 4. And 100 times 4 is 400. So there were 400 total students in the survey. That's not how many students are at GMS. That's just how many students were surveyed in this specific survey. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to question number 3. It says, how many students chose apple juice? All right, so let's go look back at our circle graph. How many students chose apple juice? It's not asking you what percent. It's asking you about the specific amount of students. And we're looking for a specific part of the survey. So that tells me that I'm looking for my part. So my total I got in my last question, we said that there were 400 total students in the survey. So that's going to go in the denominator. Now I got to look at just the apple juice. And I see that 25% chose apple juice. So I put 25% over 100%. Now, once again, we can cross multiply then divide. We can simplify and try to multiply or divide, or we can just try to get from 100 to 400. And that's simple by multiplying by 4. So what is 25 times 4? 100. So 100 students chose apple juice. All right, last question about our circle graph. It says, how many more students chose apple juice than grape juice? So I'm going to keep this right here because we're comparing now. we're comparing the apple juice students to the grape juice students. I already have the apple juice students, so I can go ahead and figure out how many students chose grape juice. And once again, we're looking for a specific piece, so that is looking for the part. We figured out from question number 2 that there were 400 students in the survey. So now I'm going to look just specifically at grape juice. That's the purple. So 20% chose grape juice. And 100% would be all the students in the survey. So 100 times 4 makes 400. So 20 times 4 is 80. So 80 students chose grape juice. Now let's go ahead and compare. It says how many more. That signifies that I need to subtract. So I'm going to take the one that was larger and subtract it from this. Not from the smaller one. I'm going to take the smaller one and subtract it from the larger one. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to take the 100 students that chose apple juice and subtract the 80 students that chose grape juice, and there will be 20 students. So 20 more students chose apple juice than grape juice. Another way you could do this problem is you could take the 2% here and find the difference in the 2%. So 25 minus 20% is 5%, and you can find 5% of 400 using a proportion, and you'll get 20 students. And that was analyzing a circle graph.